What's up everybody, how you guys doing? Now before we get started to this video, we just need to give you a quick confirmation that the game between Essendon and the GWS Giants has yet to be played in the making of the next round's predictions of round 11. Should let you know that regardless of the results of this game, my opinions on this prediction will not change, and we will continue to keep on going to give you the AFL round reactions and next round predictions as planned for every round. Thank you guys, I'll see you in the video. What's up everybody, it's the Aidan Sports Show. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be an AFL round 11 match predictions where we go through all of the games that are happening in round 11. We also include the buys and we give our honest, true match predictions in all of these videos. Obviously this will also count towards the reactions video that will happen at the end of the round. So before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below if I picked your team to win, and what exactly do you think the score will be within your game or any other game that you'd like to discuss. There are some good games happening this round, some very interesting games as well, so it's also going to be very interesting to see where exactly some of these teams end up landing, because this round could honestly save a lot of seasons. We're going into the stage where a lot of teams are fighting to get to the top 8, and a lot of teams in the top 8 are trying to keep their places. It's going to be very interesting to see which teams will end up being there. It's as close as it's ever been, and there's a bunch of teams that probably rightfully deserve to be in the 8. So we're going to take a look and see if this round can end up putting a lot of teams at a better standing, or will some teams drop out? Let's see. We have a lot to discuss. So the first game that is obviously going to be happening on the Saturday, the 8th of August, which is tomorrow pretty much. See, these rounds just keep on coming, is Port Adelaide versus Richmond. Now this game, originally, I wouldn't even hesitate about this game, but obviously seeing what Richmond did in their last game against Brisbane, who are arguably better than Port, they have absolutely found a second gear and are getting into their form. So this game is going to be tough. Obviously, Port Adelaide won their game last week as well against the Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs obviously not a team that to take lightly, but they're also not one of the best teams out there. So it all depends, man. I think both of these teams are in very good form. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, Port beat Melbourne in a very convincing fashion as well. So it's going to be interesting, but it is in Adelaide. I do think Richmond will have to travel to this game. I feel like I never pick Richmond, but if they win this game, I think I'm going to be well and truly picking them from now on. I am going to pick Port Adelaide. Look, the only reason why I'm picking Port Adelaide is because it's in Adelaide, basically. And Adelaide is very hard to go and beat, especially where the fans are there as well. Adelaide are known for having just Adelaide fans in their games and no one else, because everybody else that gets there basically gets abused. So yeah, look, I think that's going to be the sole reason why I think Port Adelaide will win this game. And let's see where things go. I think this is going to be probably the best game of the round if both teams come at the same level that they've been coming at each other, or coming at every other team for the past season. They've been both very good teams. Obviously, Richmond have found their form. So let's see where this goes. That's going to be a very interesting one to talk about. But going into the next one, and another good game, I think, between Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs. Now, this is going to be at the Gabba. So this is basically Brisbane's game to lose here, and for that reason as well, I'm going to pick Brisbane to win this game. Look, the Western Bulldogs, I just don't know where their next win is going to come from. They have lost 2 games, I believe, now in a row. This could be the 3rd. I'm not sure. I think with Bulldogs, they are good enough to beat teams within the mid-table type of tier, even a little bit slightly above. But I think anyone in the top 4 or fighting for top 4, except for maybe the Giants, I believe they beat the Giants, which is a very good team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to win this game. Now, the Giants game is a rivalry for the Western Bulldogs, so I'm going to excuse that, because in rivalry games, it doesn't really matter who the better team is. There's always going to be fight there. So I am going to pick the Brisbane Lions to win. Again, they had a shocker of a game last game. I just don't know if that's a one-time thing or not. I do still think Brisbane is probably the best team in the AFL. So why not why not pick the Lions at the Gabba, man? It's like, it is a very tough place to go again. And Brisbane do have experience over the Western Bulldogs, so, and Bulldogs defense, and it looks like forward line now seem to be in very deep trouble. So I just don't see how the Western Bulldogs escape this, but if they do, that's going to be a great win for them. I think that's going to be career defining for them because they're still fighting for a top 8 spot as well. Beating the Lions would be something incredible for them, and it is possible, man. I'm not saying it's impossible. Now, going into the next game, the West Coast Eagles versus Carlton. Now, again, this game is probably going to be a very good game to watch as well. You have the experience and the skill of Western Bulldogs versus a young, up-and-coming and hungry Carlton side. Obviously, I think it would be very insane of me to pick Carlton in this game. I am going to pick West Coast. Again, this game, it's not really hard for me to choose the West Coast Eagles after their performances over recent weeks. They've been absolutely destroying teams. It is at Optus Stadium. They're back in Perth, one of the best stadiums, Optus Stadium, I've seen in Australia. So I think everything's going West Coast way at the moment, and positivity is running through their team. So I don't see how this game would be any different to the other games they've played, especially the likes of Collingwood and stuff. I don't see this being a thrashing by any stretch of the means, but I don't see this being a uncomfortable victory for them. I see Carlton putting up a fight, but I just don't see them having enough to beat West Coast in Perth. Just the way that I see it, guys. I do like both teams, man. I do think if Carlton win this game, they're basically one of the better teams if they win this game, because they have done very, very well this season. Even though they're technically not in the top 8, for a team that's that young, they were basically bottom filter last year to come and have a season that they've had. Beating a team like West Coast and almost beating Port, it's showing that they're making significant signs and pushes forward. I think that's all that they can ask for. West Coast, obviously one of the better teams, and for that, they are going to be picked for me. Now, Melbourne Demons versus the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Look, this game is a bit up and down for me, because if you guys haven't seen the Adelaide game, the scoreline really does not show how the game went. In the first half, I believe Adelaide were the better team, to be honest. Even though we were winning, we did get a lot of easy goals against them, but the fourth quarter was where Melbourne absolutely took advantage of them. The third quarter was great for us as well. Obviously, we kept them to 1 goal throughout 2 quarters, I believe. So Melbourne do show a very good sign of confidence going into this game. After a dreadful performance against Port, they really retaliated against Adelaide, and they are versing again a team that is considered bottom filter, but North Melbourne are better than Adelaide, and that's what I'm trying to say here. So if we have another half the way that we had with Adelaide against North Melbourne, then North Melbourne will be in this game a lot more than I would say that Adelaide would be. So I would say don't sleep on North Melbourne in this game. Of course, I'm not going to pick them. Look, as a Melbourne fan, if I can't back my team against third last or second last on the ladder, then there's no reason for me to be picking them in any game. So I am going to back my team. I am going to back Melbourne. I do see it as being a good victory for us, because we do have the players to go and beat North Melbourne. We are a hard-working team when we put our minds to it. Yes, the quality in the forward line is not there. Defensively, we were great against Adelaide, but again, it's Adelaide. They're not a special team offensively, so that doesn't mean anything to me, to be honest. But if we could just take our opportunities, I think we have to keep the forward line the same as last game, because they did extremely well. We have to see where that goes. But I just don't see North Melbourne having enough to beat us. But if they do, I will not be surprised. But I do think Melbourne will take this comfortably, to be honest. And this is going to be a game that will save Melbourne's season if they can win, because we do have teams. Melbourne have teams that they can beat going into the next few rounds. And if they win all those games, they will make the top 8. And that's exactly what they should be aiming for as a team. And they do have teams below them and some of them above that you could think Melbourne do have a chance against. But let's see where that goes. Again, it's going to be a great game in my opinion, but don't sleep on North Melbourne. But I am going to pick the Demons. I have to pick the Demons, let's be real here. Going into the next game, the Saints versus the Cats. Ooh, that's a tough one. Ooh, and it's at the Gabba, so there's no real advantage for any team. Oh, that is tough, you know. I don't know where to go with this. So both teams have been in great form. Both teams have been making noise. Both teams will probably make the 8. I think I'm going to go with the Saints here. Now, this is just a throw in the dark type of pick. I don't exactly know where to go with this one. The reason why I picked St Kilda, I guess, is because I do think they do have a better team, and I do believe Geelong have a few injuries under their belts. Now, Geelong have been sensational, don't get me wrong, and if they do win this game, it's not going to be a surprise to anybody, but I mean, there's not even odds for this game. It's very even, so I don't know. I still see the Saints pulling it out in a very close game. Again, this could be a game that could definitely be taken as one of the better ones in this round as well. Keep your eyes on that one, man. I'm gonna be very heavily interested in this game. Of course, I really like the Saints. Maybe that's why there's a tad bit of bias there. But yeah, I do see the Saints comfortably taking this one out. Not comfortably, but very, very positive that they could probably take this one out. It's going to be a thriller of a game, in my opinion. Going into the next one, we're getting very close to the end here of the episode. We've got Fremantle versus Hawthorn. Now, this game is also very close. So Fremantle had a bye, but before that bye, they beat Collingwood, which is a very good team. But Collingwood have a lot of drama under their team at the moment. So it was a very good win, but it was very low scoring. And to be honest, I don't think particularly either team played very well. Hawthorn, on the other hand, had a great victory against Carlton, and I think they performed tremendously well. Look, it's a battle of inconsistent teams here. Fremantle, in my opinion, are consistently bad, and I think that's one thing. But Hawthorn can be good when they switch things on, but have also been extremely bad when it's not on. When they're off, they're one of the worst teams in the AFL. When they're not clicking, they're bad, man. They're truly bad. And I think Sydney beat them when they weren't clicking. So that's tough. Now, based on those two performances alone that they both had, excluding the bye, of course, I am going to pick Hawthorn because I think Hawthorn had a more significant victory against probably a team on form that is better than Collingwood at the moment. But this game is again going to be close. A lot of these games will be close, but I do think you have to keep your eyes onto Hawthorn in this game. Again, they will probably still have that momentum going from their last performance to now. So will Fremantle, as to be fair as well. But I just don't see Hawthorn really losing this game. But again, I could be wrong, man. I was wrong. I predicted Collingwood against Fremantle, and Fremantle beat them. Again, it was basically a one-kick game for the entirety of that game. But nevertheless, a win is a win, and it doesn't matter how they get it as long as they get it. I think Hawthorn need to win this game as well. It's not the fact that they probably should. They need to win this game to save their season, which is borderline going to be bottom filter if they do lose. Anyway, next up, we've got another game that is probably going to be a little bit interesting. Now, keep your eyes on this one as well. A lot of people will just instantly make their assumptions, but I'm going to tell you this is going to be a lot closer, especially in the first half. Now, after seeing Adelaide play, it's Adelaide versus Collingwood. Adelaide in the first half of our game were very, very good. They showed a lot of fight, a lot of grit. Melbourne were not really up to task in the first half. And we are a team that, yes, we were not informed for the Port Adelaide game, but besides that, we did have a very good run of form against very good sides. So Collingwood, on the other hand, are a team that have lost to very easy teams. They did win last week against Sydney, but that has a big asterisk towards their name because they should have won by a lot more than what they did. But they have not been informed. I am going to back Collingwood here, but because despite whatever team they throw up against Adelaide, they do have the better team, and I just don't see... I see the experience coming into play. Like, you do have experience in that Collingwood side that Adelaide do not have. I think if Adelaide get the lead... I think if Collingwood get the lead early, they will be able to keep the lead. They will be able to secure a lead. Their defense at Collingwood is still really good, and forward line, it's good as well, but I just don't see this being a dominating thrashing until maybe the fourth quarter if Adelaide give up again. But I see Collingwood winning this game, but trust me, keep your eyes out for this one because I am not going to say this is a foregone conclusion for Collingwood after the way they've been performing against the teams that they've had. Like, if you look at the last games that they've played, Fremantle, they've lost. Sydney, they did beat Sydney. They're going to versus Adelaide, and they're going to versus North Melbourne. Now, these games are really defining for Collingwood because those are bottom filter teams. Fremantle, Sydney, Adelaide and North Melbourne are their last 4 games until obviously they've got Melbourne, and we'll talk about that when that time comes. But realistically, they need to win the next three. They need to win the next 2 games. They beat Sydney, they need to beat Adelaide, and they need to beat North Melbourne. Otherwise, their season is also in jeopardy as well. We need to keep in mind that Collingwood do have a lot of drama around their team, a bunch of injuries towards their team as well. They are not having a very good season in terms of luck as well. And of course, all of the drama around their coach, their players getting injured, allegations, all of the stuff I'm not going to get into. But there is so much going into Collingwood's side that it's really disrupted their season. And this is a game where they have to get back on track. And North Melbourne, they're going to have to do the same thing. Last but not least, the Gold Coast Suns versus Essendon. Now, as of this recording, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned in the beginning, I have not watched the Essendon game. Now, the Essendon game, in my opinion, between the Giants, regardless of the win or not, does not really affect this decision, even though it probably should, considering these 2 teams are very close in caliber. But I do see this being a Gold Coast victory. Now, the reason why I'm picking Gold Coast in this game is because they performed very, very well last week. And yes, it was in a loss. It was against a very tough team in St Kilda. Essendon, I feel like they don't show up against teams they probably should beat. And that's why their season is also in jeopardy. So the Suns, in my opinion, definitely have the capabilities to go and win this game. Are they a better side than Essendon? I truly don't believe that they are a better side than Essendon. But on form, I'm going to back the Gold Coast Suns. It is at the Metricon Stadium. I just don't know what Essendon have to offer at the moment. I guess I'm going to have to wait and see that until that Giants game, I believe, that's going to be happening later tonight, which obviously, if you know this recording, it's probably going to be out by the time that result is finished. But until at least I know, I am going to pick the Gold Coast Suns, and I'm not going to change it by any stretch of the means. Even if Essendon do beat the Giants, I'm still going to pick Gold Coast in this game. So those are the end of the round predictions. Now, obviously, the buys are going to be towards the 2 Sydney teams in Sydney and the GWS Giants. Those are the 2 teams that will have a buy. It's going to be very interesting to see. These games are going to be career-defining, man. They're going to be season-defining. A bunch of these teams are fighting for their lives to try and get into the top 8, and a bunch of teams in this round are trying to keep their status in the top 8, and some of them are even in the top 4. They're trying to keep their spot. So look, the more rounds that we come, the more that I'm going to say it's going to get serious, more serious, and more serious. But a lot of these teams need to get their grip together now. This is the time, because there's not much more chances that they can get to go and win. This is the round 11. There's only going to be 6 more games. So a lot of these teams, if they don't get a grip now, they will never get their grip together. So let's just see where things go. A lot of these games are must win for a bunch of teams. I'm very, very good. Of course, every round is exciting, but this round and the next few rounds are going to be very exciting, because a lot of teams are going to give everything that they have. Otherwise, they're not going to have a season to play. They're not going to be playing in the September finals, and wherever the grand final is, whatever the case may be in the finals, they're not going to be playing in it. And I'm sure a lot of teams would want to do that. That's their goals, aspirations. All you need to do is get in the 8 to have a chance. We've seen that with Bulldogs. You could be wherever you want on that ladder, but at least you need to be there to have the chance. You have to be there to have the chance, and some of these teams will be there and other teams will miss out, and they'll probably feel hard done by. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you guys in the round 11 match reaction. Stay tuned for the match reaction for this round of round 10. I think I uploaded it last night, or it's going to be tonight in this case, but when this video is up last night, you know what I mean. Anyway, take care and peace.